Hey YouTube, YouTubeites and the YouTube Nation of Parker Kligman's YouTube channel. That's me, Parker Kligman, coming to you with another edition of Parker's Picks. This week we're going to go to you guys, the fans, for our questions. So we're going to do my past and present favorite drivers that have inspired me or somehow directed my career, I guess, in some ways, or I'm a fan of. So we'll go with the past first. Well, the first driver I'd say that I became a huge fan of, although I didn't know him or see him race, so that he died sadly before I was born, would be Tim Richmond. Researched him a lot, thought he was one of those naturally talented drivers. He obviously was a driver that had maybe a different personality than a lot of drivers and came from a different background than the drivers of normal at that time, and also was pretty fast and set a lot of records. So he was definitely an inspirational story in that sense. Next would probably be on the open wheel side, someone like James Hunt. Thought he was a really cool driver. He was a driver that, once again, just had more of a personality, really changed the norm for race car drivers in F1 back in the 70s, and had a ton of talent as well. And then lastly would probably be on the stock car side, Dale Earnhardt. Who isn't a fan of Dale Earnhardt? Obviously what he did for our sport, really driving our sport into a lot more popularity. He was the American dream per se, in terms of being able to come from nothing and become a multi-millionaire superstar driving race cars at the top of our sport, and was pretty talented as well. As for present drivers that I was around to see, my first driver that I was a fan of was Kimi Räikkönen. I was a big F1 fan, and Kimi Räikkönen was just a guy that, once again, just to me was different, but also had a ton of speed, had a ton of talent, and always went out there and put cars that maybe weren't the best cars and found a way to get them up front and win races. Next would be Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher was just the king at the time I first started watching racing in about 01, 02. He was winning all the championships. He was the best. He was the hardest working, and to me, I really like perfection and excellence, and he was someone that embodied both those things. And then lastly, on the stock car side, the driver I first started watching was about 01, 02. He was a rookie at the time. That'd be Jimmie Johnson. I was a huge Jimmie Johnson fan in my younger years, and definitely still find him to be someone you can definitely learn from a lot in his work ethic and the way he goes about his racing. But definitely a guy that, when I was younger, first watching stock cars, I tapped on to kind of like the Lowe's car in general, so that was funny enough at the time. With that said, as well as the guy behind me, Kyle Busch. Who doesn't like Kyle Busch? He's obviously one of the most talented drivers in our sport, has proven time and time again that he can win at the highest level of the sport, and obviously break records, all at the age of now only being, I think, 28. So he's done a lot in a short amount of time, and only a long time to go, and I think he's going to continue to set more and more records, and I'm proud to be driving for him here at Accomplished Motorsports.